Okay. Welcome to the May 2nd, 2023 session of Tangerine SDR and Hamside Technical Session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week I've been doing some work in the shack, work on antennas, cleaning up some computers, and debugging some circuit boards. So bits and pieces, but and getting ready for Dayton. I have contacted everybody that's speaking in the Tapper forum, and they all seem to be on schedule to produce their talks. So we'll hope to have those Friday morning and room forum number 1. So that's it for me. Next on the list, we have Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Thanks, Dave. I've also been just trying to keep all the different projects going, trying to finish up the semester at the University of Scranton, get ready for Dayton, and also trying to work with trying to get this Tangerine project, through to the next level. Unfortunately, Tom N5EG has had some health setbacks over the past couple of weeks. So I want to just, say that I hope that he's doing well and we're thinking about him. And, we're trying to work out plans to keep the project going, even if he may not be here as much as he would like to be. So W2NF, back to net.
Very good. Well, next on the list is Bill Engelke, AB4EJ. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, Dave, and good evening to the net. On this project, I been working with Stan Pozerski on getting his system working so that he can send DRF data into the personal space for the station network. And in looking at that, we discovered that there was a bug in this. When you create a station, it wouldn't fill in the latitude, and then when the system tried to plot that on the map, it didn't know where to put the point, so it would just give up. So a lot of stations that are out there and defined haven't been showing up on the map when you go to the PSWS network. Anyway, so that's fixed. That's about all there is to report on this project. I'm working with a couple of people on getting their uploads working on DRF. Stan is running into a lot of challenges on his end with getting the uploads to work, but hopefully we'll get it worked out. Funny, it seems like stuff we had working before all of a sudden doesn't work, but that's computers,
Yeah.
That seems like a few computer programs kind of like milk, it just after it sits for a while it spoils. I don't know if that's anybody else has had this experience, but anyway, back to net.
Yep. Okay, next on the list is Bob N5BRG. Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, not too much to report, just staying real busy, making small progress, but not anything to report tonight. Back to you, Dave.
Okay, well, glad you're here. Next on the list is David, KD0EAG. Go ahead, David.
Hello. I for once have a little bit of video, though it's a bit green, but that's all right. Things are a little moldy around here.
What do you have, a color Vidicon?
It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? No,
I think he's in an Aurora.
I don't know. Yeah, a lot of ionic oxygen or something here. But there's anyway, I'm still poking around with cameras and stuff. But anyhow, I have been trying to get various things to work, most especially a demo or, something that people can look at that will work and is transportable to Dayton for the magnetometer, hoping it will work this time. I guess that's my number one goal. I have a couple of other things to keep me from going completely crazy. I've been looking at TEC and DTEC and some things like that. But that's about it for me.
Okay. Well, very good. And we do plan to have in the Tapper booth a magnetometer display, and the goal is to have at least the boards there connected and running to show people how it works. And I added a few images into John's slide set showing magnetometer tubes in the ground. So there'll be some pictures that people can see. So next on the list, we have David, W1HAC. Go ahead, David.
Well, not W1, N1, but
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, welcome everyone. We're dealing with what I call usual flooding here. Like in Casablanca, round up the usual suspects. We've got some of the usual flooding, but we just got a lot of rain on top of a saturated ground. Yeah, it's interesting walking around along our rail trail, having water to both sides. But anyway, yeah, the big event this week for us, radio-wise, is we had our large flea market Hamfest called Nearfest this past weekend, and Friday was a good day and a good time for picking up things I didn't know I needed, including a gain and phase meter of HPs. And then Saturday we had a forum that our local, well, the New England division of ARRL has gotten very active. And one of our initiatives is RFI search teams, of which I and a number of other people in our club are signed up for. And we had a forum on how to, not that a lot of us don't already know a lot about it, but they've developed a search, an RFI search kit using a loop antenna, a VHF, UHF beam, and an IC 705. So I've got one of these kits to try out and to be the central location. We're basically on the New Hampshire-Vermont border, but we're kind of the contact point for Vermont, as well as our little duchy in New Hampshire. This is how things have always been in this area. But yeah, it is an interesting initiative of software and hardware to be able to drive around and take readings, signal strength readings at various frequencies to search down things like power line noise, but any other RFI as well. Now, an interesting twist to all of this is that my partner actually works for the power company, and she has been put on their RFI group. And the good news is that most power companies do appreciate HAM's help in tracking down problems, because they are required to fix anything that causes radio frequency interference, plus the fact that it's usually faults in their own system. So this is an active initiative around here. I do look forward to being able to start testing the Tangerine hardware. I got Tom's updated test plan, and it looks good up to the point up, as far as it goes so far. Clearly there's going to be about a bunch of software and firmware that's going to need to be developed so that we can test it. But looking through, he says a lot of stuff as to, don't know quite how to do this. It's a canned program from ARL's thing. I think we'll be able to help on that one. I've got pretty good, background in testing converters and such systems for noise floor and all of that. So looking forward to getting this actually running. So I guess that's it for here. Back to Net.
Very good. And let's see, next in the list, is Dylan. Go ahead, Dylan. Dylan, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. So looks like I will hopefully be able to make it to the Hamvention, Dayton Hamvention. So that's going to be awesome. Right now working on my transportation. So hopefully I can get that done by that time. I believe I should be. And then I guess other than that, just working on my speech for the Hamvention and not really a whole lot else going on. So I'll send it back to Net Control. Have a great day.
Yes.
And great night.
Dylan and I have been going back and forth, trying to help him as much as I can. And we're looking forward to his speech.
Does he have a hotel room yet?
I don't know. Do you?
Ooh.
I'm just gonna sleep inside the car.
Oh, we can do better
I
than
bet
that.
Nathaniel can do something for you.
Yeah, let me I don't know. Jonathan, would you be willing to share a hotel room with Dylan?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because I've got a bunch of hotel rooms, and yeah, they've got multiple beds in them. So if you're willing to share, I can just put you in with Jonathan over there.
I shall gladly accept the invitation.
Yeah, we can't have you just sitting out in a car. That's not gonna work.
You need to be fresh Friday morning.
That's right.
What hotel are y'all staying at?
Oh, it's the one right by the University of Dayton. I think University of Dayton Marriott.
Oh, okay.
I would definitely say that it's not a huge issue for me to sleep in the car.
Yeah, but
no.
I've done it
can
plenty of times before.
we can do better than that.
Dylan, you
Well, thank
just
you,
got a
though.
room. Be thankful.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I am thankful. I'm just
Look,
saying it's
not
not a
gift
huge
horse
deal
and
for
mouth.
me.
And he is a guest speaker.
Exactly. I mean, I can actually like justify you. It's not like it's just a handout. I mean, you're actually talking on the manufacturing processes, which, are benefiting the project. So it's not like I'm just, no, it is actually justifiable.
Well, thank you very much, Nathaniel and Jonathan.
You're welcome. That
Okay.
sounds good.
Let's go on down the list. Next is Jay, WB8 SBI. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, good evening, everybody. Nothing new in terms of HAMSI. In terms of other things, I've turned in the paperwork for try and get DXCC after being in this hobby for since 1974. We'll see what happens if they look at all my logbook of the world stuff and say, yeah, you've got enough. I'm really not sure what's going on. I may be 2 or 3 countries short. So we'll see what happens. Otherwise, that's about all that's happening here. Hope everybody is doing well, and we'll catch you later on down the log. So back to Ned.
Well, very good luck. And if you don't have it, you'll know what you have to do to finish it. Next on the list, did I skip over Gary? Gary, did I skip over
I'll
you?
jump in there next, Dave, if that's okay.
Yes.
Dylan, you need to mute.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. So yeah, it's good. We're getting Dayton all set up. I'm gonna, in a second, hit the enter key and put the link for the Hamvention team in the chat box. If anybody would has time to spend some time in the booth on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday morning, that would be very, very welcome. Very easy to sign up and pick a slot, an hour here, an hour there. We go a long way toward furthering ham size goals and introducing people to some of the events we've got for the eclipses and whatnot. Along those lines, Nathaniel, I think I put the 3 posters in a shared drive. Did you see an email from me in your Gmail account about the 3 posters?
I saw that I got a shared drive notification from you. So I did see that. So
Okay,
I will have to have them printed by, I'll have to get them printed.
right. Okay, that's great. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. In fact, I can probably
well-
order them now.
Yeah, that just went into the chat. The other thing I'm doing, some of you, I may be bugging you as I was at the beginning of the meeting to try to get the grape node list cleaned up or straightened up a little bit, because I'm starting to look at the sites we've got, people who are currently hosting grapes, may host grapes in the futures and whatnot. Because one of our goals for Hamvention is to hopefully get people excited about hosting grapes on either side or on the eclipse path in October and April of next year. So that's what I've been working on. Back to you, Dave.
Very good. And next on the list is Jonathan, KC3EY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. It's been a busy week for me. One of the things that that I was looking at was there was another fellow in the VLF community that monitors VLF transmitters, and he posted his amplitude plot of NAA during or for April 24th, the day of the really big geomagnetic storm. And what he noticed, which was a little odd, was there were a lot of amplitude variations on much smaller time scales than normal during the local nighttime. And so I thought, well, man, that looks weird. So another person posted their plot of NAA as well. So this fellow was in the US, and then Peter from Scotland posted his plot, and it looked the same. There was a lot of small scale variations, or a lot of variations on the much smaller time scales. So then I looked at mine and I thought, man, it's the same thing. So here's my theory. So normally during the nighttime, so this happened during the nighttime. So obviously the E layer is at play with a VLF waveguide propagation. And one of the dominant sources of ionization are cosmic rays. But in this case, we had particles from the CME. And I believe that they were the dominant source of ionization, and that caused the um, um, greater amplitude variations on much smaller timescales. So I believe that was the dominant source and the reason why the NEA looked as it did. And I'm also going to mention it in my paper because I just thought it was really cool. It was something that I haven't seen before, and I haven't really took much notice because at nighttime with the E layer and a lot of you guys know this on the HF bands too. There's a lot of variation, so it was really cool. And I also posted posted something in the Hamside group if anyone is interested in taking a look at the plot. So that was one of the really cool things that I noticed. Also, we got I got a bunch of local thunderstorms. So I thought about looking at the what the spherics look like from local lightning strokes. Around 3:30 in the morning, there was a lightning stroke that occurred about a mile or two from my house. It was a big one. I believe it was one with a continuing current because it was the shockwave shook the whole house, and it was and I so I figured it was pretty powerful. So I looked at some lightning maps and I tried to identify the source stroke, and it looked like that there was an oscillatory component from the source stroke in the time domain plot from my VLF receiver. Obviously, it's overloaded, so there's a there's the initial impulse, and then there's a little bit of an oscillatory waveform. So that so I was thinking that it had a continuing current. There was also a lightning stroke that might have woken up Nathaniel because it
There was definitely some loud lightning going on over here.
yeah, there was one that occurred very close to you, about a mile from the VLF receiver. So that one probably woke you up, and that one didn't have that oscillatory component, but that one looked pretty cool in the time domain too. Lastly, I noticed that during local thunderstorms, mains hum levels seem to increase in amplitude. I haven't figured out why, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the filtering, the mains hum filtering that I'm doing. I believe it's something with the VLF receiver, because the increase in 60 hertz hum is observed before any sort of signal processing. So it's definitely something. Either there's there's some sort of overload in the isolation transformers or the front end. I'm not sure, but I also posted about that as well. I thought that was interesting. That's all I have. Back to the net.
Oh, very good. So next on the list, we have Dave, VE3LMU. Go ahead, Dave. comments?
Hi,
Welcome.
hi, sorry, no, I'm just interested in listening in, that's all.
Okay,
Thank-
well, you're
thank you.
welcome here anytime you want to come over, and anything you want to contribute, you're welcome to do that too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. So I think I've called on everybody, so we're open for general discussion.
Oh, let's see. So much going on. Um, yeah, so I guess I'm making some progress on getting the rebudget done and kind of figuring those things out. I've from looking at the test plan that Tom has come up with, and looking at the equipment we have at Scranton, it seems like the best thing for Scranton to probably do is to purchase 2 of these high quality signal generators to do the dynamic range tests, if we can afford that, and then also get a calibrated noise source, and then make sure we have the attenuators, which I think I have the set of attenuators over there. But I am looking into getting the Cordis licenses. I have been in touch with the Cordis representative, but I talked with him on the phone once, haven't heard back from him since, so I need to follow up on that. One of the things, aside from doing the testing, I guess I need to budget some money for the case. What's an appropriate amount of money to budget for the case for this thing, considering we have like 6 of them?
That's a Dylan question,
Yeah.
or at least a ballpark idea.
So I haven't been able to check for the pricing again,
Mm-hmm.
but when I checked on the first version for about 20 cases, so you said you need 6, correct?
Yeah. I think 6.
So
I don't know, it's 6 or 10 or.
what was it? I remember how much it was for 20 of them, but I don't remember
How much
putting
was
in
it
a
for 20?
price. It was $16,000 or $17,000.
Okay, that seems a little too much money for this.
It's about $700 to $800 per case.
Yeah, I don't think I can really justify spending $800. I don't know. I feel like for the prototype, we should be spending much less money per case.
So, and that's the other thing is if you say you were to get it CNC machined,
Mhm.
that would be about another, I think that was, so if you got sorry, not 2, if you got 20 of those for the CNC machining, it was about $18,000 per case.
Yeah, I think we really need to do something less expensive, even if it's less fancy. I mean, if we're supposed to be selling, our target price for this radio was originally like $500. So
yeah,
we can't put a $500 radio in an $800 case.
yeah.
If I might suggest a couple, well, first, the original idea was a 3D printed.
Sheet metal.
No,
Yeah.
3D printed. And we can do a 3D printed case and then spray it with conductive coating.
Yes.
To give us the shielding that we need. Or the other would be a stamped sheet metal case.
Yes, and that's what I was gonna
But
say.
anything
also,
that involves CNC, actual machining out of a block of something and that sort of stuff, or 3D metal printing, is going to be way too expensive.
I've always wondered how well, the conductive coatings work.
They can actually be quite good.
Okay,
Whether they be, you can get silver, copper, and carbon. And even
Does-
carbon is actually quite good for
Does
shield.
I've
does
seen
anyone-
nickel too.
does anyone else here have a ballpark number of, what we should probably be paying per case for these prototypes?
I think you should budget about $200 to $250 per case
Okay.
for 6 cases.
Okay.
And I'd suggest the 3D printing approach is the best way because you'll get it quickly and fast turn.
Uh-huh.
One thing you could do, Dylan, to think about is if you did a 3D printed approach and it was sort of like a shell that clammed together, you could allocate some little spaces in the sides to slide in some pieces of brass sheet material just to get the shielding. And then you'd have to cut or open up the holes with drilling or some method to allow the buttons and the lights and all that kind of stuff to come through. But you could actually solder a little piece of wire between the different sides and get it pretty well boxed in with sheet metal that way. But just have it drop into the 3D plastic printed thing to hold it in place.
Well, yeah, once you have a plastic case, there are a number of ways to shield it. You can get conductive, like copper sheet with adhesive on it. You
Right.
could add adhesive to it. Just aluminum foil with adhesive can work.
Right.
But I'm serious. Sprayed conductive coating is quite effective. You just have to mask it where the holes are, and then spray it on the inside. And that's actually what I think some of the SDR Play cases are done that way.
Yeah, we have access
Yeah,
to a variety of different 3D printers. I mean, I have one,
You-
several of the people in this forum have one, they have a whole bunch of them in a case, and you could probably 3D print them for $5 or $10 a piece,
Right.
Yeah.
at most.
Well,
Once you get the
less than that
design,
for
it'll be
3D
cheap to
printing.
produce them and very easy to change it if we need to.
So
Yeah.
so the idea is to 3D print, so you 3D print in plastic, the design, and then you spray paint it with a conductive coating.
Right.
Either spray paint or there is a process called electrotyping
Mhm.
where
You don't have to go to that.
it's-
That's expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
No, spraying it's standard stuff. We do this, so I
Okay.
mean it's
Okay.
a standard way of creating a shielded
So-
case.
I mean, so if we're doing the 3D printing with the spray painting, then even $250 a case seems high.
Yeah, that's high. You could probably do all of them for that.
Okay.
No, I don't think
Look,
so. I think you'll
Well,
need
a
some more
can
money.
of
Yeah.
conductive coating will be $20.
If you're just budgeting, I'd budget that and then hopefully it comes in under that, but if you got 6 different housings to make and as they get bigger, the
Mhm.
cost for 3D printing goes up. But if you
Mhm.
make a drawing, you can get a quote. There's a place called Craft Cloud that I use all the time. Instantly, you get a quote on something. So you can, in a day or so, Dylan, if you can make an STL file, you can upload it on Craft Cloud and they'll shoot you back. You don't even leave the site. It just gives you the quote. And you pick
I
pick the plastic material you want to print with.
yeah. And I haven't tried cloud. Sorry, what was it again?
Craft Cloud.
Craft Cloud. I haven't
And these
checked.
other guys may have some other ones like that too.
And I mean,
Yeah.
and honestly,
the-
like we probably don't even, if we're just 3D printing, like Bill said, we don't need to go to an external company because pretty much all the universities have 3D printing facilities. I know Scranton, we have a few 3D printers. A Case has that whole think box where they're all into, doing 3D printing. And so I think we can probably get it done very cheaply in-house.
Just,
For something like this, the University of Alabama would print them all at gratis, wouldn't charge
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
Zero.
I agree with
Zero.
that. Like,
Case
yeah.
would too.
And Scranton probably would also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's just 3D printing, you know,
There's
Well-
no cost to it.
yeah.
Just by way of comparison, you know, early on in this thing, I wanted to see what the, you know, cost of having some of the containment pieces for the magnetometer printed for us, and I looked into a lot of options, but I ended up buying some stuff. I gave my brother a Christmas present for a whole lot of filter holders for his telescope, and I think I made 20 of them or something through one of those Chinese places that gives you a quote online. I got very fast turnaround. I got far better work than I can do with my own printer, and it cost $300, I think. So
Yeah, but
I thought that,
these are all prototypes.
yeah,
We don't need the highest quality yet.
no,
We're
no,
going
but
to change it.
that's just a point of reference.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
funny in these projects, the case and the power supplies end up being some of the most difficult things to get accomplished.
Well, I think that makes sense. I really like the idea of going with the 3D printing. There are so many good reasons to do that. I think Dylan, you already have a 3D printed design started, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The design's already started. I just have to change some of the things that I didn't like or didn't work on the first
Mhm.
time. But for those adjustments, I do kind of need the physical board to change those. And I'm not currently sure whether it's just you need to resolder some of the joints so then everything lines up, or if it was the design that something happened, something changed, or I got it wrong. I'm not sure what at this point without having a physical model.
Yeah, I think I had suggested at one point that we could give him a bare board with the connectors soldered on to work with. He doesn't need
Yep.
the full board.
Yeah, we just need to get in touch with Scotty and get him to do that.
Right.
So, but that's something we can work on. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think that's a good path forward then. And then that gives me a much better idea of like how much I need to budget for that, which sounds like you know, I'll see how it all comes out, but it sounds like I might be budgeting, you know, on the order of like $2,000 or less or something.
Yeah.
You know, I think you'll come into that range. Now, how about this noise source thing? David McGaw, do you have a good recommendation for a calibrated noise source?
That's a good question. I know you could spend big bucks on it, and I'm not sure that we need to go that way. There are ways of measuring the noise. I'm not sure we even need a noise figure per se.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways just using generators to do so. I've got some noise sources. The big question is, you know, I think at this point I wouldn't worry about getting a super accurate calibrated noise source.
Mm-hmm.
I use various noise diodes and things like that.
Mhm.
But the other thing is that really ours is an A to D system.
Yeah.
The noise figure and all of that's going to be set by whatever is feeding us.
Mhm.
The
Well,
front end.
okay, so I know that we can go kind of the junk box sort of route, or maybe the really cheap route, but hypothetically, if I were to be stocking a lab, like if I were to trying to
Yeah.
increase
No, I know
Scranton's,
what you're asking, and
so
yeah, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is I don't think we need to go to with the $8,000 key site calibrated source.
I agree with that. Is there something in like the $500 to $2,000?
Yeah, there certainly should be. And I haven't investigated it, but Roden Schwartz has written up a method of doing it with signal generators and not a calibrated noise source.
Do you
which-
have that reference?
I will have to look it up, but I had found it relatively recently.
I personally think you're better off if you go buy a noise source. And a used one would be fine there was a facility in Florida. I don't know if they're still in business. If I could find them, I could forward you that. And
That would be great, Bob.
$500 to $2,000. Now, there is one downside to that you need to think about, and like on the HP type noise source or some of the other higher end noise sources, most of them are designed to be pulsed. And they have a connection on them that you connect back to the box that you're using at the time to do your measurements.
Okay.
So you sort of have to marry the noise source with your other equipment.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. But you can create noise sources of your own just to get point of reference. But if you're going to get in a situation here potentially where you're trying to compare your radio to other radios, and there's going to be an argument about what things really are and what they really read, and it's going to come back to the guy that makes the measurements and whether or not what he did was accurate and traceable. And
Right.
that's what calibration is all about.
Right. So I'm looking here and I see this thing. Now, this one only goes down to 10 megahertz. 10 megahertz to 18 gigahertz. Is this the sort of thing that I would be looking for?
Yes, that's a very standard noise source.
That's right.
Because if that's the price, I feel like that's very appropriate and really no problem.
You have to be sure that it's calibrated to the.
Yeah, you notice it's 10 megahertz to 18 gigahertz.
Yes.
There's probably, I don't remember, but there should be one that's goes lower in frequency, not as high.
Calibrated noise source. Calibrated integral isolator noise source from Fairview Microwave. Now that's 3.7 to 4.2 gigahertz. And it's almost $3,000.
Now you can, like Dave was saying, you could use another piece of equipment.
Yeah.
It's designed to make noise source measurements, but it has its own built-in reference of some sort, and it would need to be calibrated.
Okay.
And if that's been done, then it sort of like takes the noise source requirement out of your hands. But the one like you just showed is a very common standard noise source, and it's one that would normally be pulsed. It has on one end of it a connection that's supposed to go back to the instrument to receive its pulse, and the other end is where you connect the RF.
Let's see.
Well, I'm finding current ones that are in the $3,000 range. Point from 10 kilohertz to 2 gigahertz type.
Is that
But
on
these-
Fairview Microwave?
That's Fairview, Pasternak, and I think you'll find the key site. Oh, now NoiseCom. This is what I use, their noise diodes. Let's see what they have. Calibrated sources.
Yeah, I see one here on Fairview. calibrated noise source module with an ENR of 15 decibels, 28 volt DC operating from 0.01 to 2 gigahertz for $3,200.
Right.
Rode and Schwartz smart noise sources.
See, Noisecom does things that you can build in for in circuit noise testing. I hate the ones that say request a quote.
I know that. So it says on rodenschwartz.com here.
Yeah.
These all
My
start at,
question is, who will actually be using this device? Just because my minimal experience with metrology in the past is the person that ended up using it, if they didn't have a choice in the selection of the equipment, they usually said, well, this won't work. We need something else. So
yeah.
we don't want to get into that situation.
Well, I think
So-
that'll probably be Majid. So, you know, we can loop him into this conversation. And
Nathaniel, I think you ought to make a comment about the likely role of Majid moving forward.
yeah, so Majid is our laboratory engineer at the University of Scranton. So it's very likely that he's going to be hired on this project to play a more pivotal role in making things go forward with this, and then also become our in-house person at Scranton to know these sorts of things. So that's why I know for the past week he's been working on, you know, boning up on GNU radio, and he's been studying Tom's manual and things like that. So, you know, I know he's not on this call right now, but he is very actively working on this.
Yeah.
And we are probably, I think we will be trying to identify a student to work on Verilog code. So with him.
I will mention that Dave Witten came out of the ionosphere. He looks
Yeah,
normal
there's
now.
no more green fog.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Yep, the ozone is clear here.
He must have dropped below the D layer. I don't know.
I switched webcams from the one I must have bought at a truck stop somewhere to the cheapest one I could find on Amazon. Not real big on these things, but it's better.
Well, it looks much better. I wanted to comment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say, Nathaniel, there's a lot of hocus pocus to noise measurement. So you may want to set up a proposed test system and then go out and get components for it.
Okay. That sounds good.
I think this company that you mentioned, that Dave mentioned, is Noisecom.
Uh-huh.
They do make a business of making noise sources, so you could call them and tell them what you're looking for, and
Right.
they would give you a quote too.
Yeah, as I say, I use their noise diodes, which are, you know, relatively, they're uncalibrated, but they give you a good idea.
They're a
For
recognized
calibrating our
supplier
stuff.
of noise sources too.
But they have calibrated ones, and they may have a suggestion.
And they're located in Parsippany.
Aha.
That's only like 20 minutes from my mom's house.
Yeah, then you probably can get a good deal from them since they're close to you.
I can go walk up.
Now that the HP/Agilent/Keysight 346B is essentially the standard that everybody looks to. But it is
Um,
interesting. It only goes down to 10 megahertz, and we definitely want to test below that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's really not going to be what we want. Because someone else told me, maybe it was John Ackerman told me he had one that went down to 10 megahertz.
He may have one of those.
Yeah, he
I have
he
one
likes
of those
to work
also.
on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because John,
I've got an HP one. It has a tube in it.
yes.
It is a calibrated
So
noise source,
so
but it
your
has a tube
noise
in it.
may vary, huh?
Yeah.
So I have one of those HP noise sources, and when you get a noise source, it's been calibrated like this, usually on the side of that one, and usually you'll get a table. And it's
Yes.
various frequencies and what certain increments, and you can even request this at a higher cost potentially. But you'll get a table that tells you what the noise level is at each one of those frequencies. So that you feed that data into your machine, and then you characterize your system, whatever you're trying to measure
Well,
against.
also a calibration isn't good forever, isn't it? I mean, generally a calibration has a time limit on it.
Absolutely, you have to get it recalibrated occasionally,
Well, it's also like a best buy date.
but the
Depends
ham,
on the instrument.
Well, here he tells me. So here's what John Ackerman wrote. He writes, "I have an HP 346 noise source with calibration table," which is exactly what you said. That it's kind
Right.
of the standard. Goes down to 10 megahertz. So he said one hiccup is that most noise source calibrations only go down to 10 megahertz. While the noise is probably pretty darn close below that, it will start falling off at some unknown point. The calibration to my source is pretty old, so it might make sense to have Keysight recalibrate it before we do any traceable measurements. I don't know if they would offer to calibrate to a lower frequency if asked. Tom N8ZM has a lot of experience with noise figure measurements from his days with HP and would be a very good resource if we need to delve deeply into that. Regarding noise generators, regarding the generators, if doing the frequency agility isn't required, we could build low noise crystal oscillator. So yeah, so basically we can make stuff again. But again, I think I'm in the position where I have some money that it would be nice to actually build up some lab equipment here.
there is a metrology lab. There are several of them around the country though that can recalibrate these noise sources. Don't let that concern you. It's
Okay.
a few $100.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing it for many years, so I don't know what the going prices are. And when I bought a hamburger this week at Five Guys, it was about $13 for a hamburger. He told me that's because there's five guys splitting the profit, but
Well, it
man,
is one of
things
the
have
best
gone up.
hamburgers, but they have gotten expensive.
Yeah. So yeah, but you're
Well,
you're right.
the other thing, Nathaniel, is that you can, as I say, get things from places like NoiseCom, and then compare them to a known source, and then yours is calibrated.
Right.
It's
And
just
it
like an oil
sounds like
change.
John, I'm not surprised, has experience with this, and then he has someone else that he works with that's even more experienced.
And then with
But-
this, then you need a noise figure meter too.
Yeah, you need some way to
well,
measure it.
Need to know, wait, but you can use spectrum analyzers and other various ways of measurement. There's a lot of ways to skin this cat.
Well, that's what I was saying about as you're picking out equipment, you want to be sure that your equipment is designed to work together. And that's where Tom suggested that you talk to Tom Holmes, and that's who John Ackerman is talking about here, that N8.
Oh,
that
right.
That's Tom Holmes.
We could even talk it up at dinner.
Well,
I
and
really
he
think
will be in
will.
the Tapper booth
And
some
Majid
of the time.
Majid is going to Hamvention as well. So what
And you
I
guys
hope,
are right next door, right?
yes, which was done on purpose. And Majid,
I wonder if we could just set up a
unlike-
time to
Yeah, unlike me, who has a ridiculous number of
You-
speaking commitments.
Yeah, you picked up
Majid-
every speaking commitment you could.
I
Yeah.
know. Majid is just there to basically chit chat about stuff like this.
Right.
Okay.
So,
We might just set up a time that we could pull the brain trust together and talk about it.
yeah, so I think what I might tell Majid to do is keep working through the manual and maybe follow up. Maybe I can have him start putting together an equipment list and maybe contact Ed Hare, since we already started that discussion, and just try and do as much homework as we can before Hamvention. And then when we get to Hamvention, then you can have like a actual discussion with you guys.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out from the ARL manual how they do it.
Mhm.
And let's see, where was just had the equipment list they have. Do they even have a noise source in here?
Usually if you buy a piece of equipment, they'll have a test routine in there. For
They have a
people.
wideband noise generator from Elecraft. Interesting. To give a model number. I didn't know Elecraft made noise generators. Engine.
You can buy a broadband noise source too from eBay for about $30.
Yeah,
Diode.
you can even reverse bias a transistor and make a good noise source. We have calibration sources that are for the rheometers that it just uses a reverse bias transistor. Yeah, this is okay.
Just to put the thought in your head, Nathaniel, I was working in integrated circuit design, and we had a really nice full lab. And what we had was a contract with a metrology lab that would come by like every 6 months and check every piece of equipment we had. And recalibrate anything that was out of date and re-sticker them. And so as you accumulate a bunch of equipment, then the university may want to do the same thing. Somewhat just to teach students that they need to be worrying about things like that and following through with it later.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, every voltmeter and ohm meter and everything else would be calibrated.
No, this, Nathaniel, this is saying Elecraft makes one DX Engineering doesn't have them available, it's saying, but that Elecraft makes a wideband noise source that's 100 kilohertz to 500 megahertz. And calls it calibrated.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
How much is that?
I haven't found a price because I haven't found it for sale.
At least you could run down the Elecraft guys at Xenia, that's for sure.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Royal.
Well,
Maintain.
I'm
Well,
gonna have to
lab-
jump
lab
out of here.
testing.
I've got my on the hour time commitment that I got to deal with.
Okay.
So 73.
All right, 73, Dave. Thank
73.
you.
Take care, Dave.
Yeah. And Gary, I'm placing the order now for the posters. So we'll get that
Excellent,
all.
good. Yeah, no use waiting to the last minute.
Nope. There's enough of that going on anyway. Which reminds me, I need to order the rental van too. So I will do that. Hamvention 2023. We'll submit this. Today is, they want me to use May 2nd. All right. See if we can get it for Friday.
Let me
Budget
just
number.
mention real quick that I have a couple of parts here that may not come through in my camera very well, but this is a clamshell that I designed using SolidWorks that it just flips over, so the top becomes the bottom and the bottom the top, sort of. And it captures a PC board and it has SMA connectors on each side, so it's a preamp. And so in the plastic, I had them print in, or it shows up the name. And on the input and output, those are embossed in the plastic also for printing. So that's a simple method. And I had like a little square hole here that was real thin. I could punch out on one side for a heat sink to come through for a preamp. And then another situation, I bought a metal case, and then I 3D printed I had Crowdcloth do these things. 3D print a plastic plate that has all the names and everything, and all the holes are positioned for the SMA connectors. And I've got a spot down here for ventilation. And so it gave me a way to get some precision in the way my thing went together and the way everything was labeled. The downside was the stuff embossed in there, you can read it, but it doesn't really stand out. So I played around with trying to put some ink in there and stuff, but really haven't done anything yet that I'm happy with. But those are a couple of examples of 3D printed stuff. And the little box was just a few dollars. And the plate was probably $10, $10 or $12, because it was much larger.
Huh. Let's see how this is going. And then I guess the other thing we need to do, Gary, is I know I need to get the booth talks figured out for the Hamsci booth talks.
Right.
So maybe we can try and get that hammered out this Thursday. One 76. Convention posters. Alrighty. Looking good. Add to cart. Okay, Gary, I ordered those 3 posters.
Fantastic.
So thank you for your order. Save that. So they're pretty fast at printing, so there's a good chance we'll get by tomorrow or the day after. And Bill, thank you very much for sending me those CSVs. I haven't downloaded them yet, but I will take a look at those.
Gonna take a while.
Yeah. It'll be something. It'll give me something to do.
Let that run overnight.
Sounds good. Then anything else for tonight?
I did work with Dave a little bit on the magnetometer information on the Tapper site, but it still needs a little bit of work. There's two separate pages. One, it's now we're going into here without Dave being here. But anyway, I'll work with him some more this week. I think it still needs some adjustment.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah. Well, all right. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care.
Everyone,
Good night.
take care.
73.
73.